15 miles per hour. Mostly clear skies this evening and tonight. 52 are over.
Good morning and welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. It's really great to have you along. I appreciate it very much. And I hope you'll do me a favor and hit that like button today. That would be absolutely terrific. Trying to let more folks know about what I'm doing. And when you hit the like button, it makes a difference. So here we go. Thanks again for being here.
107.9 and Kello.com. The Doctor of Discernment is on the air.
I love the Greg Belfrage Show.
I've been listening to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
You sound a little taller on radio.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time. I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
This is the Greg Belfrage Show.
Good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show on a Friday morning. Really great to have you along. Big story this morning is what's going on with Hurricane Helene making landfall in Florida. And in fact, it made landfall as a Category 4 storm last night, and then already has started to diminish, but not before it's causing just a host of problems in Florida. This is a very big story. So again, it actually made landfall last night, Category 4 hurricane, and landed about 10 miles southwest of Perry, Florida, just after 11 p.m. last night, Eastern time. There are at least 2 deaths that have been reported, where a mobile home was damaged during one of the many tornado warnings in Florida. The storm surge has been of a really big concern, the storm surge, because you're talking about 20 feet, a 20-foot storm surge. And it was significant enough to trigger water rescues then throughout Florida. Mobile homes were even said to be floating in some places. So flash flooding is now becoming the biggest threat from Helene, with all of the rainfall going along with this. So it's pretty devastating to watch what's been going on. One of the other big stories this morning is a local one, and that was Mike Rowe, who was in Sioux Falls yesterday. He was out at Southeast Tech and talking about really sharing the success and the Build Dakota Scholarship Program. He has sponsored a number of micro scholarships as part of this. He toured all 4 of South Dakota's technical colleges yesterday to celebrate Build Dakota's 10-year anniversary. And then you've got the president of Southeast Tech, Corey Klassman, talking about the, how they never expected it. At the time that they started it 10 years ago, they were hoping for great things, but what's happened is just even far beyond that. So Tom Rooney has put together a piece for us this morning, and I'll share it with you a couple of times. Because it's a great piece, about 5 minutes long. So I will do that coming up this morning at 7:40, and then probably about an hour after that, I will share it a couple of times so that you can hear it. And we've also got Micro's comments. You'll hear that from the Kello.com newsroom throughout the morning. But I wanted to give you a chance to hear it in a little bit more detail. So Tom has really put together a great story involving Mike Rowe and his visit to Sioux Falls and South Dakota yesterday. And he says Rowe's saying, South Dakota is really killing it. South Dakota is one of these places where we're really killing it. So it's, I am a fan of Mike Rowe's, and I'm also someone who, beyond just being a fan, I think there's this a certain, you're a fan of somebody and they make you laugh and you enjoy what they do. But I also find his work to be so incredibly meaningful to me. So this is a pretty nice moment that he was coming out to South Dakota in Sioux Falls yesterday. So more on that throughout the course of the morning. Other big stories this morning. We've got Vladimir Zelensky then. The Hill's got a story this morning that Zelensky stumbles into a partisan battle with J.D. Vance remarks and his Pennsylvania trip. There are a number of people who are concerned about this Pennsylvania trip. Pennsylvania, again, being one of those states where the election is incredibly close. Why is he going to Pennsylvania? Why is Vladimir Zelensky going to Pennsylvania? So there are a lot of questions that are being asked. In also, Zelensky's being criticized for calling J.D. Vance too radical in a New Yorker article, because Vance would give up Ukrainian territory to Russia, stop supporting Ukraine in the war. Zelensky then also casting doubt on Trump's plan to end the war before he takes office. So this just is a big story this morning. And Donald Trump has agreed to a meeting now with Zelensky. And they'll be meeting today. So they will be meeting later today. And this comes just days after Trump has criticized Zelensky for refusing to make a deal with Moscow. And Trump has repeated the things he'd been saying previously. Trump said he would be able to make a deal between Vladimir Putin and Zelensky quite quickly, Trump said. He didn't go into specifics of any plan, though. He was asked, this is a story from the BBC, refused to elaborate when asked whether he believes Ukraine should cede territory to Russia as a means of ending the war. Trump said, it's a shame what's happening in Ukraine, so many deaths, so much destruction. It's a horrible thing, he said. He was asked about Zelensky's comments to New Yorker magazine, and Trump said, because Zelensky said Trump doesn't really know how to stop the war. Trump doesn't know how to stop the war. And Trump said, I do believe I disagree with him. He doesn't know me, Trump said. So Trump and Zelensky will be meeting today. And again, there are a lot of questions about Zelensky and the politics of his visit and the fact that he is, I would think that Zelensky's got enough problems on his hands in terms of what's going on with Russia and Ukraine and all of that, rather than to come to the United States and then absolutely blunder right into the middle of, there are questions as to his trip to Pennsylvania, and Republicans want to look into that. And is that an attempt then to influence the election? And so these are just really, I think, problematic times that we live in, my friend. Other big stories this morning. The New York Appeals Court yesterday appeared wary of the state's civil fraud case against Donald Trump. This is the case that ended in a $464 million judgment against him and his business. So they heard arguments yesterday that lasted more than an hour. This is a 5-judge panel on the appellate division. And they question whether any constraints apply to the law that Letitia James used against Trump. So and one justice said, how do we draw a line or at least put up some guardrails to know when the AG is operating well within her admittedly broad sphere, and when she is going into an area that wasn't intended for her jurisdiction? So this is interesting. So a lower judge in February had ruled that Trump and the Trump Organization, including two of Donald Trump's sons, falsely altered Trump's net worth on key financial statements and insurance benefits. And so what will happen in the appeals court remains to be seen. Now, while we're talking about Donald Trump, this is a story from the Daily Mail. Headline: Donald Trump opens up big lead in our election model. Are Kamala Harris best weeks behind her? And where are the 27,000 voters who could decide who wins? That's the headline of the story. So you dive into this, and they say state by state numbers. First of all, they said Harris has the best chance of claiming victory in the popular vote, which would be the number of actual votes. But that's not how you win. To become president, you've got to win in the electoral college, right? The electoral college. State by state numbers, they say, show all the blue wall of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan tilting toward Trump, giving him the overall advantage when it comes to winning the White House. It gives him a 55.2% chance of victory. Harris is at 44.6% with a very small chance of a tie. So again, this is the Daily Mail. They're saying now, again, state by state numbers showing that Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan are tilting toward Trump. And they've got a 55.2% chance of victory. Harris at 44.6%. Other big stories this morning. Federal government is suing 2 towns in Wisconsin for switching to paper ballots. This is a pretty fascinating story. JustTheNews.com has got it. A tale of 2 cities. Lawrence, Wisconsin, caved to pressure from the DOJ over paper-only ballots, while the town of Thornapple is fighting back. They, one voter integrity advocate said it's appalling that the Department of Justice is bullying and targeting a small town in rural Wisconsin over its decision to use hand-counted paper ballots. So the Justice Department suing these two towns, paper ballots, counting them by hand, and the DOJ is alleging that the towns and the state violated a section of the Help America Vote Act by not having an accessible voting machine for voters with disabilities. Wait a minute, if you're handing out paper ballots and anyway, Lawrencetown officials are fighting back. Lawrence had settled. They signed a consent decree with DOJ last Friday. And so they will rescind the decision to not turn on the voting machine. They were not going to turn them on, so they're backing off. But the other community, Thornapple, had previously used Dominion voting systems in one of their machines to mark and count votes. before they came to the decision to maintain paper ballots. They used only paper ballots this year in both the April primary election and the August, this was the April presidential primary, and then August federal primary election. And they are fighting back. Also, North Carolina, while we're talking about what's going on with, voters and voting machines and then voter registration rolls, the North Carolina State Board of Elections has removed over 747,000 people. So we're talking about nearly 750,000 people from its list of registered voters. So the records were purged from the state's voter registration rolls over the past 20 months. So this would be over a nearly 2-year period. It's not as if it was done like right now. Over the last almost 2 years, they have purged over 747,000 people from their voter rolls. 3 of the top reasons for removal were that the voter was determined to have been deceased, had duplicate registrations due to moving within the state, or had garnered an inactive status from election officials after failing to participate in 2 federal elections. So inactive voters, so on. 747,000 voters removed from the rolls in North Carolina in the last just less than 2 years. Also, I've had listeners who have asked me about this story, about the Federal Communications Commission fast-tracking a deal that would allow a company with ties to George Soros to maintain control of over 200 radio stations. And this is raising concerns about potential political influence ahead of the 2024 election. So House Oversight and Accountability Chairman Jim Comer of Kentucky, Representative Nick Langworthy, announced in a press release an investigation into the FCC expedited review process involving Audacity, in which George Soros has a substantial equity stake. So the lawmakers are asking whether the FCC's actions reflect political bias and are intended to influence the 2024 election. So a large number, over 200 radio stations, the FCC fast-tracking this deal, and George Soros with ties to this company. And I know it's on the minds of several of you because I've seen your emails, and I appreciate that. Drop me an email anytime you see things like that. We likely will wind up talking about that next week, I think. So again, KELO would not be affected by that. We are owned by a family-based company that owns a number of radio stations in the vicinity of 90 plus radio stations throughout the country that are owned by Midwest Communications. So we would not be, KELO would not be affected by that, but what effect would that have elsewhere throughout the country? A lot of people are wondering about it. There is also a survey out there that got my attention, asking Americans how many times they tipped for services when they didn't think it was necessary. And 60% of people, this was a polling that was done, and there's a story at it's called PR Newswire, and 43% of consumers say they want to eliminate tipping altogether. The issue really is tipping fatigue. It's dragging down the average tip. 38% of people said, talking about how much they tip servers, but 60%, and this is really, I think, the issue, 60% of people, they are fed up being asked for a tip for different services at various businesses, and they feel pressured to tip. And that is, for instance, let's say you go in and order a coffee, right? And you're paying by your card, and it's how much do you want to leave a tip? Well, I'm paying for the coffee. I'm paying for the service, versus when you have someone who's coming and taking your order at a restaurant. That at least I clearly draw a distinction, between those jobs. As in this poll is showing, so do a number of others. There's a really fascinating story, at least I thought it was, at the New York Post this morning. A heart surgeon, and the headline is, "I'm a heart surgeon. Here are 4 bad habits I absolutely avoid." And he said he does not smoke, he does not vape, he does not use an alcohol-based mouthwash, he does not consume processed foods or drink alcohol. This is really kind of fascinating. And then there is a story this morning about a guy who's been eating hard-boiled eggs. He ate 700, or excuse me, I want to take that back. He's eating eggs, period. And he's saying, I ate 700 eggs in a month as an experiment. And he said what he found went against everything we've been told. Fascinating stories regarding health. We'll talk about those in a little bit more detail coming up this morning, and get your reaction coming up on the Greg Belfrage Show. Thanks so much for starting your day with us. I really appreciate it. Clear skies in 52 at Kello. This hour brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Weeknights 5 to 8. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires. See in-store details about how to get refills from major tire manufacturers. 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
Kitchens and windows, unlimited. Just look what we can do. Look what we can do with your kitchen unlimited.
One of the best things you can do to upgrade your home and save on your energy bill is to get rid of those old drafty windows. Hi, this is Tim One with Kitchens and Windows Unlimited. Not only are old windows drafty and inefficient, they're also harder to open and much harder to clean. Let us help you upgrade with our award-winning Sunrise Series windows. Not only do these windows have amazing energy performance, they open and close with ease. And they're backed with an industry-leading lifetime limited warranty. Plus, Sunrise double-hung windows tilt in, which makes cleaning them simple instead of a chore. To learn more about upgrading your home to Sunrise Series windows, stop by our showroom at 3rd and Kiwanis. Check us out on the web at kwunlimited.com.
Kitchens and windows, unlimited. Just look what we can do.
Plenty of sunshine again today and warm. High temperature at 86. Light north winds 5 to 15 miles per hour. Clear skies this evening and tonight. 52 are low with light winds. We'll go with sunshine again for tomorrow. High of 85. Light northeast winds. Plenty of sunshine on Sunday and 84.
In Sioux Falls at 6:30, clear skies, 52 currently at Kello. Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center. Coming up, Mike Rowe was in South Dakota yesterday to help celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the Build Dakota Scholarship Fund. Joe will have more details on that. Also, a state trooper from Aberdeen is being honored as Hero of the Year. Details coming up for you here in just a few moments. Thanks for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. You're listening to Kello.
Millions of people are without power from Florida up through the Carolinas this morning after Hurricane Helene slammed Florida as a Category 4 hurricane, killing at least 3 people. The remnants of Helene forecast to continue to move inland towards the Ohio Valley. The storm is weakening, but still bringing very strong winds, tropical tornadoes, and incredibly heavy rainfall. The southern Appalachians could get some of the worst flooding in recent memory. That is Fox meteorologist Janice Dean. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is set to appear in federal court at noon today to be formally charged for allegedly selling his influence to foreign nationals. He spoke yesterday.
From here, my attorneys will take care of the case so I can take care of the city. My day-to-day will not change.
America's listening to Fox News.
I got a feeling his day-to-day is about to significantly change.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. Mike Rowe, star of the show Dirty Jobs, was in South Dakota yesterday to help celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the Build Dakota Scholarship Fund. It's a scholarship designed to help students graduate debt-free while it builds a workforce. Rowe calls it one of the best things going in education.
I'm imagining a map of the country in my mind's eye, and I'm looking for the place that's crushing it. And it's here. It's this state. And you better be proud of that because it matters.
Rowe visited all 4 technical colleges in the state. The Build Dakota Scholarship has provided $43.5 million in scholarships to roughly 4,000 students in its first 10 years. A state trooper from Aberdeen is being honored as Hero of the Year. Officer John Burnt was presented the award last night by the Veterans Group 40 and 8 for his heroic actions at the 2023 Sturgis Rally. He protected a group of bystanders and helped apprehend a suspect who had started shooting at him. State GOP Party Executive Director Reggie Roden is pleading no contest on a disorderly conduct charge. The charge stems from accusations that during the Republican National Convention back in July, Roden grabbed a cell phone from somebody, then threw the phone into the Maryland delegation, striking someone in the crowd. He paid a $195 fine and will not have to spend 2 days in jail. Reggie Roden is the son of South Dakota Lieutenant Governor Larry Roden. In college football, the Jackrabbits have the weekend off, and number 5 South Dakota Coyotes host number 17 Southern Illinois tomorrow. And the Minnesota Vikings face off against the Green Bay Packers this Sunday. The Vikings are looking to remain undefeated after their 34-7 win over the Texans last week. Minnesota is leading the division at 3-0. Sunday's game kicks off at Lambeau Field at noon. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Plenty of sunshine again today. High temperature of 86. Level light north wind 5 to 15 miles per hour. Mostly clear skies this evening and tonight. 52 our overnight low with light winds. Plenty of sunshine for tomorrow. High temperature at 85. Light northeast wind. Sunny on Sunday and a high of 84. For the Helloland Live Doppler HD Storm Center, I'm Scott Lawrence.
Fox News every hour on the hour and entertaining talk shows all day. Kello News Talk 1320, 107.9 and Kello.com.
31 years ago, when the World Wide Web was new to anybody, with just a modem and a dial-up phone line, America Online and CompuServe and the owners of every single website were just begging for visitors. Those days are long gone. Free is just a fading and distant memory. I'm Kim Commando for Incognito. Stop robo and spam calls, junk text, and unwanted email, even online stalking and doxing. Get 60% off today at privacykim.com. Of the 5 most visited news websites, only 2 are still free. The New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and USA Today put up paywalls requiring monthly subscriptions years ago. CNN is about to follow. Fox News is experimenting. Your email address in exchange to see certain stories. And when a website starts asking for your email address, you can bet that they're laying the groundwork for a subscription program of willing and ready customers who will be the first to be targeted to sign up with that email address. Enter to win a brand new iPhone 16 at winfromkim.com. I'll never forget when my son asked me where in Los Angeles I lived so many years ago. I couldn't remember the house number on the street, but a couple of minutes later, Ian read me the exact address. He found it on a People Search website for free, along with my personal cell phone number.
Okay.
Yikes. It's not just me. I hear from folks all the time, shocked at what they can find out about themselves online. That's where Incogni comes in. Instead of navigating these tricky sites, Incogni does the work for you. So far, they've removed me from over 150 websites. Plus, my personal data is on 24 data suppression lists, meaning it's illegal for these companies to get my name ever again. Even better, they check on a regular basis that data brokers didn't sneak me back in. Try it for yourself and see how easy it is. Get 60% off with Incogni at privacykim.com. That's privacykim.com. 60% off now. privacykim.com.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello, News Talk 1320, 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires, your Give You More tire and automotive store. Financing programs available, 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices. Just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Do you have a special needs child or an older adult in your home? The risk of them leaving the house unnoticed is real and terrifying, but you can protect your loved ones with Vivint Home Security. Right now, Vivint is offering a free doorbell camera with any new plan, plus free installation and low monthly monitoring plans. Call 800-953-6693. That's 800-953-6693. Monthly service agreement required for free installation.
Bring charm from the outdoors into your home with Renewal by Andersen picture and combination windows. Optimizing a beautiful view and light in a bedroom, kitchen, or living room from ABC Seamless of Sioux Falls. Call 605-646-2667 today.
The issue of artificial intelligence, this is wild. This is one of the stories trending this morning. This is a senator from Maryland, Democrat senator from Maryland, Ben Cardin. Recently, the target of a sophisticated deepfake operation impersonating a top Ukrainian official. And so the Senate Security Office alerted, this is, I think, earlier this week, Monday morning, a group of leadership aides and security chiefs for various Senate committees about what was going on with this. And there are a number of stories. ABC News, sophistication of AI-backed operation targeting senator points to future of deepfake schemes. So, how concerned are you about deepfakes and artificial intelligence? And, we've talked about that before. And here it is trending again this morning. All right, let's get back to it.
Some mornings you might not have that get up and go.
Ooh, but at least you can get up and go.
The Greg Belfrage Show.
.639, clear skies and 52. It is so great to have you along this morning. Thank you for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. This hour is brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
What's trending now?
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
The story's trending this morning. New York City Mayor Eric Adams now facing the indictment alleging corruption and bribery. 57-page indictment charges him with 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, federal program bribery, receiving campaign contributions by foreign nationals, 1 count of wire fraud, 2 counts of solicitation of a contribution by a foreign national, and 1 count of bribery. So they're saying this was a pattern of corruption over 10 years. And if he's convicted on all of the counts, he could face up to 45 years in prison. So now again, this is the government saying that after nearly a decade, Adams sought and accepted improper valuable benefits such as luxury international travel, including from wealthy foreign business people and at least 1 Turkish government official seeking to gain influence over him. That's what they're saying. Now, Mayor Adams responded then to the indictment. He said, "My fellow New Yorkers, it's now my belief that the federal government intends to charge me with crimes," he says in a video. "If so, these charges will be entirely false, based on lies, but they would not be surprising. I always knew that if I stood my ground for all of you, that I would be a target. And a target I became. For months, leaks and rumors have been aimed at me in an attempt to undermine my credibility and paint me as guilty," he says. So there have been a number of stories swirling around this. New York Times has had reporting on it. New York Post actually they've got it this morning, an exclusive interview with Adams, and it was his first interview since these charges were filed. So you can find out more information at the New York Post. Also, House Republicans yesterday launched an investigation, or excuse me, this was Wednesday. On Wednesday, they launched an investigation into the president of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, in his recent visit to an ammunition factory in Pennsylvania. And there's concern that his trip with Democrats in Pennsylvania could be construed as election meddling. And Jim Comer accused the Biden administration of using taxpayer funds to transport Zelensky to Scranton on Sunday to campaign for Kamala Harris. Comer says that they flew him on an American taxpayer-funded flight to Pennsylvania, a battleground state in the upcoming presidential election, which has been described as the trickiest battleground for Kamala Harris to win, he said in his letter on Wednesday. So they are launching an investigation into what happened there. Also, the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Ben Cardin of Maryland, was, according to reports, the target of a sophisticated deep fake operation impersonating a top Ukrainian official. And so the Senate Security Office alerted a select group of leadership aides, security chiefs, then for various Senate committees about the incident. It occurred earlier this month on Zoom. The FBI is now investigating, according to sources. So the notice was sent via email, warned staffers to be vigilant about similar efforts. And they didn't name Senator Cardin. They didn't mention him by name, but he apparently is a person at the heart of this. And there are a number of stories that are trending surrounding this. And ABC News says this was an advanced deepfake operation targeted Senator Ben Cardin. Experts believe schemes like this will become more common now that the technical barriers that once existed around artificial intelligence have decreased. And the notice from Senate Security said the attempt stands out due to its technical sophistication and believability, they said. Also trending this morning, Newsmax and Smartmatic have settled the defamation lawsuits. So Smartmatic reached a last-minute settlement in their defamation lawsuit against Newsmax, one of several cable news networks accused of promoting Trump's claims that the 2020 election was stolen. So it was almost set to go to trial in Delaware, and Newsmax settled with Smartmatic. The lead lawyer for Smartmatic says, we are now looking forward to our court day against Fox and Fox News for their disinformation campaign. Lying to the American people as consequences, Smartmatic will not stop until the perpetrators are held accountable. Also, trending this morning, Butler police blaming the Secret Service this is in the recent hearing on what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. This is testimony that was being taken by the House Task Force investigating the assassination attempts. So they held their first hearing on the July 13th shooting. And local law enforcement agents or officials say that their agents assigned to the rally completed the task that they were given, adequately then reported the situation as it unfolded. So a lot of finger pointing that's going on there, even within Secret Service folks failing to take responsibility. It's just been, in a world of crazy news and really kind of jaw-dropping events, this, I think, is particularly shocking. The failures at the Secret Service, just incredible. Also, speaking of AI, I should have mentioned this earlier, high-ranking executive at OpenAI has resigned. OpenAI's chief technology officer said in a statement Wednesday that after much reflection, she has made the difficult decision to leave OpenAI. 2 other top executives are also on their way out. This was announced by OpenAI CEO Sam Altman. He announced this on Wednesday. So you've got 3 high-profile folks that are leaving OpenAI. That story is trending. A lot of focus and attention on AI, I think. Former New York City Mayor, federal prosecutor Rudy Giuliani has been disbarred in the District of Columbia. So his law license in the district had been suspended since the summer of 2021. But a one-page decision from the District of Columbia Court of Appeals ordered him to be disbarred. This comes months after he was disbarred in New York State. Also, in much lighter news, Hoda Kotb announced that she's leaving the Today Show early next year. She's been with the Today program for more than 5 years, co-anchoring the program. So she announced the decision in a letter that was shared with her colleagues, according to Today.com. And she has worked for more than 25 years, been at NBC News. She previously worked at Dateline, served as the co-host of the 4th Hour of Today. She stepped into the co-anchor role after Matt Lauer left and spent 5 years working alongside then Savannah Guthrie as well as other hosts. But she now is announcing that she is leaving the Today Show. Also, Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo made some comments on MSNBC this week that are a little bit troubling. For those of you who watch the 4th hour of the Greg Belfrage Show on YouTube each day, I mentioned this yesterday. It was trending yesterday after I got off the air. So Raimondo was on MSNBC on Morning Joe, and she was attacking claims that were being made by Donald Trump. And she said, "How did we get here? Let's extinguish him for good," she said. "We have an answer. We have a remarkably talented candidate who is sincere, who is pragmatic, who is open. Let's just get it done." Well, it's the extinguishing him for good comment is why that story is trending. Some who are perceiving it as a threat, I'm just going to leave that up to you. Especially, and I said this yesterday during the 4th hour, I think I would be a little bit cautious as to the terminology that I use in saying we've got to make sure Donald Trump gets defeated versus extinguishing. That is not a word choice that I would favor, but there's a lot of ill-conceived notions that are going on MSNBC's Morning Joe, so it's probably the least of them. Also, Michael Cohen. Remember Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former lawyer who testified for the state, Trump's criminal trial in New York? He told MSNBC this week he intends on leaving the country if Trump is elected again. He said, and this is like, so long, man. Good riddance, buddy. I mean, it's just these people, I'm going to leave the country. I'm already working on a foreign passport with a completely different name, he said. I don't know how it's going to work as far as dealing with my wife and my children. I certainly don't want them moving to where I'm looking to go. This guy's a nut. I mean, seriously, what a nut. Also, a Secret Service agent has allegedly sexually assaulted a member of Kamala Harris' campaign staff. It's a Secret Service agent. Again, this is what's being alleged. After eating in a restaurant in Green Bay, Wisconsin, dining and drinking is what they're saying. So dining and drinking in a restaurant in Green Bay, the accused special agent and several Harris campaign staffers returned to the staffer's hotel room, at which point the agent groped one of the staffers in front of everybody, according to Real Clear Politics. One source in the Secret Service community said the accused agent was so inebriated that he was kicked out of his hotel room by coworkers, passed out in the hallway where photos were taken. So here we see yet another just really great moment for the U.S. Secret Service. Wow. Also trending this morning, Derrick Rose. He was the first overall pick in the 2008 NBA draft. He has been heralded as a savior for the Chicago Bulls, and he has announced his retirement. So Rose named MVP at the age of 22. And he said, knowing that I gave my all to the game, I felt confident in my decision. He said, basketball was just the beginning for me. Now it's important that I give my all to my family. They deserve that. So Rose turns 36 just a few weeks from now. Also, the House voted on Wednesday to pass a bill that funds the federal government until December 20th, so averting a government shutdown at the end of the month. story that's trending surrounding Donald Trump. He is suggested on Wednesday. He said this was at a campaign event in North Carolina. Donald Trump said, "I appreciate the agencies that we've been meeting with, but we've been threatened very directly by Iran," he said. "And I think you have to let them know, because the best way to do it is through the office of the president. That you do any attacks on former presidents or candidates for president, your country gets blown to smithereens, as we say," Trump said. He also said, "Meanwhile, we have the president of Iran in our country this week. We have large security forces guarding him, and yet they're threatening our former president." Also, NATO is preparing for a huge number of casualties in case of a World War III scenario and a future war with Russia. This is the head of NATO's logistics command confirmed that they're working to ensure that NATO will have the operational capability then to extract large numbers of wounded troops from the front lines in the event of a World War III scenario. Meanwhile, the U.S. and the European Union, almost a dozen other countries, have called jointly for an immediate 21-day ceasefire. And Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, said he didn't even respond to that proposal from the United States. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. Hey, it's great to have you along this morning. Thanks so much for being here. Currently, we've got clear skies in 52, and you're listening to Kello.
News is happening. You're hearing it now.
My friend, I want to thank you so much for starting your day with us. I really do appreciate it. And I'm going to beg you, please join me again this morning, coming up at 9:30 for the 4th hour of the Greg Belfrage Show. As I get off the air this morning, I'll take a look at events that are going on this morning and see what's out there that I want to share with you that I think is worthy of your time. So please hit the like button. I'd appreciate it. And I'll see you again on Monday. Have a great weekend. So long until Monday, and may God bless.